Bob Foster never cared much for parties or social scenes. As a committed data analyst, he found real peace in the quiet hum of numbers and spreadsheets, far removed from the noise and unpredictability of gatherings. His coworkers often admired how deeply he could lose himself in his work, which acted as both his sanctuary and, in many ways, his self-imposed cage. His office, tucked away in a corner, was cluttered with charts and algorithms, a space where his analytical mind thrived and where he could hide from the chaos inside himself. It had been years since Bob willingly set foot at a social event. The pain of a failed engagement had left him guarded, almost allergic to emotional closeness. Still, despite his best attempts to stay detached, his friend James kept pushing invitations his way, relentless, charming, and convinced that one good night out could shake Bob out of his shell. The party was in full swing. The crowd, mostly 20 and 30-somethings, moved fluidly from playing pool and snacking to laughing, dancing, and lounging in front of the TV. Tucked off to the side, a lean man with dark curls and an expressive face kept glancing nervously at a very tipsy redhead who seemed a little too eager for attention. Trying to slip away from her, he blurted out, "So this is a date now?" Clearly caught off guard. "Sure, why not?" she said with a shrug. Can we take your car?" "I probably shouldn't be driving," he added, his eyes darting around the room. "Look, I need to find Bob. Could you maybe text me later?" The redhead blinked, clearly not expecting that. "Bob Foster came here? I thought he joined a monastery or something." "Yeah, I finally got him to come out, but now he's vanished," the man replied, sounding frustrated. Just then, a pretty blonde walked by, and he immediately turned toward her. "Hey, Kara," he called. She gave him a knowing smile and nodded at the beer in his hand. "Did you bring one for me?" she teased. His expression shifted from surprise to annoyance. "Have you seen Bob?" "I want to grab a drink and lost track of him." Kara motioned toward his side room. "He was in the entertainment room maybe 15 minutes ago," she replied. James snorted. "Yeah, I bet you'd love that," he muttered under his breath. "I just wanted to enjoy himself for once." He turned back to the redhead. "Text me later, all right? I really need to find Bob." She pouted, but gave a little nod. "Fine. I'll see you later then." James weaved through the crowd toward the entertainment room, where a dozen people were sprawled out watching music videos. He spotted a large, cheerful man swaying slightly to the beat. "Hey, did you see Bob?" James asked him. "Yeah, he was here just a moment ago," the guy replied. "Well, where'd he go?" James pushed. "He dipped out straight through the front door," the man answered. James's brow furrowed. "Why would he just leave?" "No idea," the guy replied with a shrug. "We changed the channel to a movie, and he got up and left." "What movie?" James asked, tension rising. "The Graduate." "We were at the wedding scene," the man said. James's face flushed. "You played the movie where the bride ditches the groom at the altar, and Bob saw that? God, you're an idiot." Meanwhile, Bob Foster was lying on his side, gazing at his fiancée as she slept beside him. Isabella Brooks's breath rose and fell gently, her straw-blonde hair shifting slightly with each breath. Most people would describe her as cute rather than stunning, but to Bob, especially in the soft morning light, her pale skin glowed, and she looked almost otherworldly, angelic even. Despite all his achievements, this was the moment where he felt most complete. Bob had built a life of success. He'd been a star in both academics and athletics, graduated with honors, double-majored in finance and statistics, and earned his MBA from Chicago Business School. From there, he climbed the ranks at a major trading firm. But all of that had felt strangely hollow until Isabella came into his life. Past relationships had left him empty, emotionally underfed. Isabella was something else entirely, fun, relaxed, and real in a way he hadn't known he needed. Their love had grown steadily and without much friction. One warm summer night, in a lakeside park, Bob asked her to marry him. She said yes with tears in her eyes and a glowing smile. The past 8 months had been filled with wedding planning. They'd mailed out invitations, selected dresses, and booked a church in Isabella's small hometown. With just 6 days to go, they were driving down I-55, laughing and chatting, with Isabella occasionally texting updates to friends and family. Then she went quiet, staring out the window at the scenery sliding past, her face pensive. Bob glanced over. "Hey, everything all right?" "Something wrong with the caterer?" he asked gently. She turned to him, a bit caught off guard. No. Just thinking about home and all the mess I left behind." Bob frowned. "Mess? What are you talking about?" Isabella let out a small sigh. "Some people back home still have opinions." Friends, distant relatives, they're not exactly thrilled about the wedding. Bob's confusion deepened. But I thought your family liked me. We got along great when they visited. She shook her head. My parents adore you. It's others, friends, distant cousins. They think I should be with someone else. Bob's voice tensed. With who, exactly? She hesitated. It's Emma, she said softly. Bob glanced over, eyebrows raised. Emma? Seriously? You and he broke up ages ago. Why are we talking about this now? She nodded slowly. Some people still romanticize what we had. They think he's changed. That we're meant to be. Bob's grip tightened on the wheel as he sped up. So let me get this straight. You're telling me I've got competition a week before our wedding? Isabella rubbed her eyes, frustrated. No, Bob, that's not what I'm saying. She dropped her hands and looked at him seriously. It's just, people like Olivia might try to cause problems. I don't want you caught off guard. Bob narrowed his eyes. Olivia? Isn't she one of your bridesmaids? You asked someone who doesn't believe in us to stand at our wedding? Isabella's face darkened. Olivia was my best friend. I didn't have a choice. It's complicated. I was in her wedding, so it would have been rude to leave her out of mine, Isabella explained, her voice edged with a hint of defensiveness. Bob turned his gaze back to the road, taking a slow breath to calm himself. After a pause, he exhaled, glanced over at her, and managed a soft smile. Look, Isabella, I'm all in. If people want to stir up drama, I can handle it, as long as we've got each other's backs, he said, trying to sound reassuring. I'll be on my best behavior, and I'll make it clear to everyone you made the right call choosing me. What they think doesn't matter. Isabella gave a faint smile and leaned against his shoulder as the car hummed along. The sun dipped toward the horizon just as they pulled into the long gravel driveway leading to her childhood home, a weathered, two-story farmhouse just outside Centerville. They hadn't even parked when Isabella's mom burst out the front door, her energy unmistakable. Her graying hair was pulled back, but her eyes sparkled with excitement. Isabella, my beautiful bride-to-be, she cried, throwing her arms around her daughter, then turning to Bob with an approving grin. Bob, so good to see you, and don't you look sharp. She gave him a quick hug and ushered them inside. Dinner's almost ready, and Daddy's been waiting, she added. Inside, Isabella's father, a man of few words, offered his daughter a brief hug and greeted Bob with a firm, measured handshake. After a bit of small talk, they all sat down to plates of pork chops, mashed potatoes, and a crisp salad. The conversation quickly shifted to wedding details, with Isabella and her mom excitedly running through final plans. When the topic turned to seating arrangements, Mrs. Brooks's face pinched with concern. Bob, when's your father getting in? She asked, brows knitting. He's flying into St. Louis Thursday afternoon, so he'll be here in time for the rehearsal dinner that evening, Bob replied, unfazed. Mrs. Brooks's expression dropped, her voice trembling slightly. Oh, honey. I'm really sorry. There was a mix-up. The country club's not available Thursday. We had to move the rehearsal dinner to Wednesday. Bob let out a relieved laugh. That's totally fine. My dad's not big on crowds anyway. He'll be perfectly happy showing up Saturday. His voice was calm, reassuring. Isabella's mom exhaled audibly, her shoulders relaxing. Are you sure? I'd hate for anyone to feel left out, she pressed again. Absolutely sure, Bob confirmed with another warm smile. But wait, what's happening Thursday then? I don't remember anything on the schedule. Well, Mrs. Brooks said brightly, the bachelor and bachelorette parties. James is your best man, right? Didn't he plan something? Oh, right. I told him to keep it pretty low-key, Bob said. Most of my friends aren't arriving till the weekend, so it's just going to be a small hangout. He looked toward Isabella and her mom. I take it there's a bachelorette thing too? Her mother beamed. Yes. Olivia's putting it all together. She's thrilled about it. A lot of the girls from Isabella's high school are coming. It'll be a fun night. Bob nodded politely, but he caught Isabella's uneasy expression. Something about it didn't sit right. By the time the rehearsal dinner arrived, Bob already felt like bailing. For 2 solid days, he'd felt like a prop, an outsider put on display for Isabella's old crowd. But what really grated on him was Olivia Turner. She was tall, confident, and had a knack for taking over conversations. Somehow, she'd appointed herself social director of the wedding, and, without asking anyone, looped Emma, yes, that Emma, into everything. Emma, Isabella's ex, was a smooth-talking, country boy charmer, and the center of a ridiculous number of nostalgic stories. Olivia couldn't stop talking about the good old days, and Bob found it exhausting. One story in particular, A prom night memory involving Emma arriving with a horse-drawn carriage made Bob want to walk out. Isabella blushed. Emma beamed. Bob, meanwhile, felt like he might throw up. The women around the table gushed over the story like it was something magical, and Bob sat there, more and more isolated. He glanced across the room and spotted Isabella's parents at another table. In that moment, he deeply regretted not sitting with them. "I'm sorry, they kind of ran away with the night," came a voice from beside him, barely audible over the chatter. Huh. Bob turned to see a round-faced woman with curly brown hair and a crooked smile looking at him kindly. She nodded toward Olivia. "I mean her. She just knows everyone so well, she didn't mean to leave you out." Bob gave a small, relieved smile. "I get it. It's just tough feeling out of the loop when your head's spinning with wedding stuff." "The wedding nerves?" she asked with a laugh. "Yeah, exactly that," he said. "I'm Bob, by the way. I'm Betsy Russell. We met yesterday at the mall." "Oh, right." "Of course," Bob replied, recognition dawning. As they chatted, Bob suddenly heard his name called from across the table. It was Olivia, sounding annoyed. "Bob, what was that? Could you tell everyone what it is you actually do?" "Isabella thought you'd explain it better yourself." Caught off guard by the spotlight, Bob stumbled into an explanation. "Well, I analyze economic models to help companies make smarter decisions, mainly for investments and marketing." Blank stares met his words. "Crystal clear," Emma joked, smirking. Bob looked at Isabella for backup. She nodded, urging him to keep going. "I mean, I evaluate financial situations, guide companies on where to invest, what to market, stuff like that." A few people nodded politely, but the mood had already dipped. Wanting to steer the conversation, Bob turned to Emma. "So, Emma, Isabella mentioned you work over at the Ford dealership. You like it there?" Emma's eyes narrowed slightly. "Yeah, it's a good gig. I enjoy it." Bob continued, trying to bridge the gap. "So you're in sales?" Emma's tone sharpened. "No, I manage one of the departments." An awkward silence fell across the table. Bob realized he'd struck a nerve. "Sorry, didn't mean anything by that," he said quickly. Emma muttered, "It's fine," but his expression didn't soften. Later, back in Isabella's childhood bedroom, they sat on the bed rehashing the night's events. "What was up with Emma snapping over the car question?" Bob asked, still puzzled. Isabella shrugged. "Emma's dealing with a lot." He didn't mean to lash out. "He's just carrying baggage." Bob raised an eyebrow. "Wait, so now it's my fault?" "I'm not saying that," she said, gently brushing his cheek. "You didn't do anything wrong. It's just Emma used to be the golden boy around here. Life didn't exactly go his way after high school. He didn't get the scholarship, the job, or the girl he wanted," Isabella said, her tone almost amused. Bob cut in sharply. "Or the girl he wanted." "Seriously." He sighed. "Just stop making excuses for your friends." Isabella frowned. "What's that supposed to mean? You think I want you to compete for me or something?" Bob rubbed his forehead. "It's not that. It just feels like Emma's still lurking, trying to mess with you. And it's working. That's what's driving me crazy." "You don't have to compete," she snapped. "You already have me." Bob hesitated. But when he showed up with that girl, it felt like a move. Like he was trying to get a reaction, and it worked. Isabella sighed. "Emma and I were together for years. We were even planning to get married. But he didn't want to grow up. I did. He didn't want college or a career. I left, and he spiraled. Started spying on me. It ended when he showed up at the library, and I told him to stay away for good." Bob looked at her. "That was it. Pretty much. We spoke a little after, but it was never the same. Then I met you." She hugged him tightly. "Now, it's just you and me." Bob nodded. "Okay." But later that night, while Isabella slept soundly beside him, he lay wide awake, staring at the ceiling. At Centerville's only decent bar, Noah Foster sat between his son and Bob's best man, James. Bob recapped the week's awkward drama, including Emma's behavior at the rehearsal dinner. "What a nut job," Noah muttered, grabbing his beer. "Guy sounds like a total freak." James chuckled into his burger. Bob shrugged. "Yeah, maybe. You didn't miss anything major." "Probably would have made a scene anyway," Noah joked. "This right here." He motioned to the beer, the TV. "This is more my speed." Bob smiled. "Same here. Honestly, this beats last night." Noah raised an eyebrow. "So no crazy bachelor party? No dancers? Just a burger with your dad and best friend?" Bob laughed. "Come on, Dad. This is a small town. If anything happened, the whole county would hear about it by morning." "Fair enough," Noah said, nodding. "I get it. They stayed another hour, watching soccer, drinking beer, swapping stories. Eventually, they called it a night. Bob waved James off and climbed into the car with his dad. For a while, they rode in silence. A few miles from the hotel, Noah finally spoke. "Big day coming up. You ready?" Bob glanced at him. "Yeah, I really am. I want this. I want the marriage, the family, all of it." Noah nodded. "You'll be better than I was." Bob turned to him. "Dad." Noah raised a hand. "Let me finish. Your mom and I divorced when you were 3. After her accident. I barely held it together. And when you lived with me, you had it rough. I knew it." Bob was quiet. He saw his dad wipe away a tear. "I'm proud of you, son. You built a good life. You found someone to love. I couldn't ask for more." As they pulled into the hotel lot, Bob parked the car and looked at him. "Thanks, Dad. I'm really glad you're here. I couldn't have done this without you." Noah turned, tears streaking his face. "I'm sorry for everything after your mom passed. I didn't know how to be a parent. But watching you grow up, work hard, succeed, that's been the greatest part of my life. You deserve a good woman. And I'm proud of you. Damn proud." Bob's eyes were misty too. They sat quietly, a hand on each other's shoulder, until Noah went inside. Meanwhile, at the Jones family mansion, the largest house in Centerville, Isabella's bachelorette party was in full swing. A dozen women lounged in the living room, sipping wine and shrieking with laughter. Isabella was front and center, basking in the attention. Amid the gift bags and champagne flutes were piles of silk, lace, and lingerie. At some point, a voice slurred out, "Come on, Isabella. Model something." "No way," she said, blushing. But the crowd egged her on. Finally, Isabella gave in. She picked out the tamest piece she could find and disappeared to change. When she returned, she stepped awkwardly into the hallway. The women hooped like they were at a burlesque show. Isabella forced a smile and struck a playful pose. The crowd went wild. But Olivia, already tipsy, wasn't satisfied. "One more, Isabella. Try another." The women clapped and chanted again. This time, Isabella shook her head and retreated to the bedroom, ignoring their protests. Moments later, someone knocked at the front door, followed by Olivia's squeals of excitement. 3 men entered with bottles of champagne and vodka. Olivia welcomed them in like they were long-lost celebrities. Bill and Tom wandered off to find their girlfriends. Emma, the third, leaned toward Olivia. "Where's Isabella?" "I brought her a little something." "She's changing," Olivia said with a smirk. "She'll be out soon." Emma, ever the showman, rallied the group to sing their high school's fight song. Back in the room, Isabella heard the noise and thought it was another silly dare. Laughing to herself, she adjusted her outfit and burst back into the hallway, only to find 3 strange men staring at her. The room fell silent. The girls pointed and shouted, but it was too late. Bill and Tom stood frozen, eyes wide, while Emma grinned and clapped like he'd been waiting for a show. Isabella, flushed red with embarrassment, spun around and darted back to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. She stayed there for half an hour, heart pounding, until Olivia finally coaxed her back out. By then, most of the guests had left, leaving just a few girls finishing off the wine. Emma was still there, casually sprawled across the couch like nothing had happened. He waved her over, and after some hesitation, Isabella walked over and sat down beside him, covering her face with both hands. "That was so humiliating," she muttered. "I can't believe I let that happen." Emma chuckled, giving her a friendly pat on the back. "If it makes you feel better, I'll never forget it. Honestly, I wish I'd had a camera." Isabella shot him a glare, but then let out a nervous laugh, slowly unwinding. "Someone should have warned me," she grumbled. "Come on," he said, smirking. "Surprise is half the fun. Look what I would have missed if I hadn't shown up." They kept talking, jokes turning into nostalgia until Isabella finally said she needed to head home. Olivia moved to offer a ride, but Emma jumped up. "I'll take her," he insisted. Isabella didn't argue. On the drive, they talked about old high school friends and memories, easing into familiarity. But as they neared her street, Emma pulled over near a hedge a block from her house. "What are you doing?" Isabella asked, suspicious. "I wanted to give you something," he said, reaching into the glove box and pulling out a small wooden box. "Emma." "No," she said, shaking her head. "I'm getting married in 2 days. This isn't okay." "Just open it," he said quietly. Inside the box was an opal pendant on a delicate gold chain. Isabella's breath caught. "I looked everywhere for this," she said, stunned. "I thought it was gone forever." "I found it in the mud," Emma said softly. Drained the pond 2 years ago. Knew it mattered to you. She turned the necklace over in her hand, her fingers trembling. Why now, she asked. Because I was still hoping, he admitted. But when I heard you got engaged, I knew it was over. I wanted to give it to you before it's too late. She tried to fasten it, fumbling with the clasp. Here, Emma offered, leaning in. His fingers grazed her neck. She didn't stop him. Thank you, she whispered. Then, barely audible, I love you. I've always loved you. Emma blinked. No, you haven't. Not really. I can't do this, she stammered, her voice suddenly urgent. I'm getting married, Emma. I can't. She yanked open the door, stumbled out, and ran toward the house without looking back. The next morning, Isabella stood on a stool in her living room while her mother adjusted the hem of her wedding dress. Her expression was blank, almost dazed. You're quiet this morning, her mother said. Is everything okay? I'm fine, Isabella replied without much conviction. You sure? You don't seem fine. Is something wrong with Bob? Isabella's head snapped around. No. Why would you say that? Did he say something? No, not at all, her mother said, startled. You just seem distracted. Maybe he's upset we made him stay elsewhere last night. He can stay here if that helps. Isabella exhaled and looked away, her fingers drifting to the opal pendant around her neck. No, Mom. Bob's fine with it. He's a good man. Her mother's eyes narrowed as they fell on the necklace. What's that? Did Bob give it to you? Isabella hesitated. No, Emma did. It's the pendant he gave me for my 16th birthday. He found it. You accepted a gift from your ex the night before your wedding? Her mother asked, hands going to her hips. Isabella crossed her arms, mirroring the stance. It's different. He just gave it back. That's all. Her mother frowned deeply. It's not just a gift. It's from a man who still has feelings for you. Be careful, Isabella. Bob deserves better than that. Why do you hate Emma so much? Isabella snapped. Everyone else adores him, except you. I don't hate him, Mrs. Brooks said gently. I think he's charming, but not driven. He wants different things than you do. Bob, he'll build something solid with you. He's steady. He's dependable. Isabella looked down at the floor. I know Bob's great. I love him. But Emma, being back here, seeing him again, it's messing with my head. It's hard to bury something that once meant so much. Her mother stepped forward, taking her hand. I get it, sweetheart. But you're marrying someone who loves you tomorrow. Don't bring your past into that. Don't bring Emma into that. Isabella didn't respond. She simply nodded, fingering the opal around her neck. That night, long after the house had gone quiet, Isabella lay awake in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Then she heard something, faint music coming from outside. At first, she thought it was someone's speaker. But the tune was too clear, too deliberate. She went to the window and opened it. On the front lawn stood 5 musicians, playing I Can't Help Falling in Love with You under the moonlight. Isabella chuckled, assuming it was a prank. But then she saw Emma sitting on the porch roof, grinning as he hummed along. She froze. Isabella, what's that noise? Her father called from down the hall. It's just a prank, Dad. Some guy playing music outside, she called back. Well, it's after midnight. I'll go run them off. Panic surged. No, it's fine. I'll handle it, she shouted. Emma, still seated, looked around in confusion for a hiding spot. Isabella gestured frantically. Come here. Quick. He climbed through the window with a grin. Hi, Isabella. Fancy seeing you here. She tried to glare but couldn't stop the laugh. Emma, you're insane. You're going to get me in serious trouble. He leaned back with a smirk. With a face like yours? You'll talk your way out of anything. You're such a bum, she said, half laughing. Maybe, Emma replied, his tone suddenly sincere. He noticed the necklace. You're wearing the opal. Isabella glanced down. Yeah, it was a sweet gesture. Thanks. He stepped closer. Is that all we are now? Just friends? Because I still love you, Isabella. I never stopped. I love you too, Isabella whispered. But when she woke up the next morning, reality hit her like a truck. Emma was beside her, snoring softly. Her mother's voice echoed through the door. Isabella, it's time to get up. Eyes wide, Isabella panicked. She slapped Emma awake and clamped a hand over his mouth, pointing urgently at the door. Isabella, did you hear me? Her mother called. Yes, Mom. I'll be right out, she shouted, frantically looking for something to say. I'll just put your dress on the bed, her mother offered. Wait, Mom. No, don't come in, Isabella cried, yanking on her nightgown. I've got really bad gas. What? Her mom said, sounding confused. Don't be ridiculous. The doorknob turned. Isabella, heart racing, lunged toward the door and slammed her shoulder against it. Seriously, Mom, it's awful. I'll come down and get dressed. Just don't open the door. Behind her, Emma scrambled for his clothes. Isabella hissed at him to get out. With no other option, he climbed out the window wearing only boxers. Isabella kept rambling about the toxic fumes until she heard the bushes rustle. Then she opened the door slightly. Okay, Mom, you can come in now, but I warned you, she said, forcing a laugh. She quickly shut the window and shoved Emma's pants under the bed. Her mother entered, looking puzzled. Isabella, it doesn't smell like anything, she said, sniffing the air. Must be wedding nerves, Isabella said, offering a shaky smile. Her mother didn't look convinced. Later, Isabella sat in her wedding dress, staring blankly out the window. Her mother entered, holding something in her hands. Isabella, I found these under your bed. Jeans. Wallet. Anything you want to tell me? She asked gently. Isabella's face crumpled. Tears spilled over. Oh, Mom, what am I doing? Mrs. Brooks took her hands. Honey, forget the guests, the dress, all of it. Who do you want? That's the only question that matters. Isabella shook her head, tears streaming. I don't know. Bob feels safe. Everything feels right with him. But I can't let go of Emma. I thought I had, but I haven't. Her mother wiped her cheek. Whatever happens, I love you. But you need to be sure. In the groom's room, Bob was practically glowing until he saw Isabella's face. Pale. Shaken. Isabella? What's wrong? He asked, stepping forward. She raised a hand to stop him. Bob, we need to talk. Mrs. Brooks ushered James out of the room, leaving them alone. Of course, sweetheart. Tell me what's going on, Bob said gently. Isabella's voice trembled. Bob, I can't marry you. Bob blinked. What? If you're nervous, we can wait. We don't have to rush anything. She shook her head. No, Bob. I can't marry you at all. It's not just nerves. It would be a mistake. He tried to reach for her. Isabella. She took off the engagement ring and pressed it into his hand. I'm so sorry. Then she turned, stumbling as she ran from the room, her dress catching beneath her feet. In the church foyer, Noah Foster stood near the entrance when the whispers began. Isabella's mother was speaking in hushed tones with James, her expression grim. Around them, women whispered behind fans and hands, passing gossip like wildfire. James's conversation with Mrs. Brooks ended abruptly. His face was flushed, jaw tight. As he stormed back toward the groom's room, Noah intercepted him. James, what's going on? Noah asked. James shook his head. It's over. The wedding's off. What? Noah asked, stunned. No, that can't be. Noah followed him and stopped dead when he saw Bob emerge, eyes red, Tuck's jacket unbuttoned, looking shattered. Oh, my God. Bob, what happened? Noah asked. Bob didn't answer. He couldn't. Suddenly, Emma Hughes burst through the front doors, shirt halfway buttoned, hair a mess, and asked a stunned guest, Where's Isabella? The woman pointed toward the reception hall. Emma rushed off. Noah followed, fuming. He reached the room and saw Emma kneeling in front of Isabella, who still wore her wedding dress. She was crying, but smiling. Noah exploded. Are you kidding me? This is why my son's heart is broken? Over him. The crowd turned in shock. Emma stood up. Back off, old man. Before anyone else could speak, Isabella's father stepped between them. Let's all calm down now. Noah wasn't done. You're telling me she left my son for this loser? That's when Mr. Brooks punched him, clean across the face. Noah staggered, wiped the blood from his lip, and took a step forward, but Bob's voice stopped him cold. Dad, don't. It's not worth it. Noah turned, breathing heavily, but saw the pain in his son's face and relented. James put a hand on Noah's shoulder and led him away. Bob lingered for a moment. He looked at Isabella, reached into his pocket, pulled out the ring, and tossed it. The small band bounced once on the tile and landed at her feet. Goodbye, Isabella, he said, voice raw. Then he walked out of the church like a man sentenced. Bob sat in his apartment, hunched near the window. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, everything stood still. He got up slowly, passed by the couch where they used to cuddle, the counter where they'd made pancakes together, and the bed, still unmade. 1,000 days, he muttered to himself. He peeled off his gym clothes, stepped into the shower, and scrubbed until the water ran cold. Then he shaved, dressed in his usual black suit and tie, and grabbed his keys. 1,000 damn days, he repeated as he walked to the car. His thoughts drifted to that day outside the church. The way he barely made it to the car. The way his dad and James had to help him. Even now, that part, leaving, still hurt the least. This is still the best part of my day, he muttered as he pulled into the garage at Prairie Tower. He rode the elevator to the 42nd floor. Inside his corner office, he greeted the janitor, turned on his computer, and sat down. The glow of the screen was soothing. The charts, the formulas, the endless data. This was where he could breathe. He hadn't found love again. Not really. At his friend's insistence, he'd been on 5 dates. All awkward, all forgettable. But the spreadsheets never let him down. This office. It had become his only refuge. The only place left untouched by her. Bob eventually accepted what he had been avoiding. He wasn't ready to date, wasn't ready to engage. So he did what felt safe. He buried himself in his work, dodged social interaction, and let his office become his world. But even he knew he couldn't hide behind a desk forever. That night, instead of driving home like usual, he pulled up to a house party James had begged him to attend. The place was massive, borderline mansion, with cars overflowing into the street. Bob parked a block away and shot James a quick text. James met him at the front steps, grinning nervously. "Come on, don't bolt on me." Inside, the house buzzed with energy. People played volleyball in the backyard, crowded around TVs watching baseball, filled plates with barbecue, and clinked beers together in laughter. Bob braced himself, but to his surprise, he didn't hate it. James introduced him to old classmates and new faces. He held conversations, smiled, talked to women, even flirted a little. They played pool in the rec room. After a while, James left to grab more drinks, and Bob wandered the house until he ended up in a dim media room. That's where he ran into Buddy Turner, an old classmate. "Bob Foster. Long time, man. Want some chips? There's barbecue outside, too." "I'm good," Bob said, nodding toward the screen. "What are you watching?" "Cubs lost in extra innings. Now it's just a movie, The Graduate, I think. After that we're hooking up the Xbox." Bob's stomach tightened. He moved behind the couch, but when the scene played, the final act with Benjamin Braddock crashing Elaine's wedding, his breath caught in his throat. The crowd watching was laughing, quoting lines. Bob sat pale and still, nauseated. "Elaine," someone shouted with a laugh. Bob leaned forward, head in his hands. "Hey, are you okay?" a concerned woman beside him asked. He couldn't answer. He just stood and quietly left. A week later, James knocked on Bob's apartment door, first gently, then louder. Bob eventually answered in shorts and a worn t-shirt, hair unkempt. "Hey, James. What do you need?" he asked, stepping aside. James followed him to the couch, hesitating. "I just wanted to check on you. After the party. I'm sorry about the movie." "You don't need to apologize. You didn't plan it," Bob replied, voice flat. "I was still worried. You kind of vanished." Bob slumped into the couch. "What's there to talk about?" James sat on the edge of the cushion. "You've been through hell, man. But you can't stay stuck here forever." Bob's jaw tightened. "You think it's that easy? Isabella didn't just break my heart. She destroyed my faith in people. You don't come back from that." James stayed calm. "You're right. I haven't gone through that. But I know you. And I know you're stronger than this. It's going to take effort. Yeah, but you can move on." Bob scoffed. "So I'm a coward because I'm not ready?" "No. But your life's yours to live, Bob. You can keep isolating or start building something new." Bob rubbed his eyes. "I don't even know where to begin." James grinned and pulled a folded sheet of paper from his back pocket. "Well, this might help." Bob gave him a look but took the paper anyway. "It's a list of women who'd be glad to go out with you. Just pick one. Give it a shot." Bob shook his head. "I've tried before. It never felt right." James leaned in. "Then this time, do it better." Bob looked down, unsure. "I don't think I can." James pulled out his phone. "I figured you'd say that. So I brought backup." He tapped a button, and a familiar voice echoed from the speaker. "Bob, it's your old man. I know what happened at that wedding wrecked you. Hell, I don't blame you. But you've spent enough time licking your wounds. It's time to stop hiding behind work and start living. You've done incredible things, son. Now I'm asking you to do another. Let go. James has got a list of solid women. You don't need to fall in love again. Just enjoy life. You've got too much ahead to waste it in a prison you built yourself." Bob sat in silence, rocking slightly on the couch, eyes fixed on the list. Well, James asked after a long pause. Bob blinked. What? James sighed. I'm saying it again. You need to ask someone out. Just start somewhere. Bob nodded slowly. Yeah, okay. James perked up. Wait, did you say yes? Bob gave a faint smile. Yeah, I did. You and Dad are right. I've got to move forward. James grinned. Damn right. Bob started at the top of the list. Girl number 1. A tall, graceful ex-ballerina with sleek brown hair. She worked as a buyer at a fashion store, loved tennis. They had dinner at a chic Italian place and saw a play afterward. It was fine. The evening ended with a polite kiss on the cheek and a mutual, slightly forced thank you. Bob didn't sleep well that night. But the next morning, he called the second name. She was a petite redhead, energetic and sharp. Worked at a vet clinic, adored skating and dancing. They grabbed sandwiches, hit a dance club, and wrapped the night at a diner over coffee. Conversation was lively. James had clearly told her not to bring up past relationships. They went out 4 more times over the next couple months. It was fun, but the spark never lit. Eventually, they drifted apart. Then came girl number 3, a free spirit with sun-kissed skin, light brown hair, and playful eyes. She was a research assistant at Northwestern who loved motorcycles, rock concerts, and recreational weed. Their first date was a dive bar gig. Afterward, she invited him up. Her apartment smelled like incense and pot, with Grateful Dead playing softly from a record player. Bob stood by the door, unsure. She offered him a drink, smiled wide, and leaned in close. And for a moment, just a moment, he wondered if maybe, finally, the weight of the past was starting to lift. Bob tried to act casual as he stood in the hazy apartment, but the moment felt off. After a few minutes of forced conversation, he made an excuse and left. Back at home, he stripped his clothes, threw them in the wash, and took a long shower, wondering if secondhand smoke could show up on a drug test. The next day, he called girl number 4. She was a platinum blonde with a Marilyn Monroe look, short curls, red lipstick, sweet voice. She lived at home, worked in sales, and didn't seem to have many hobbies. Bob, sharpening his once rusty social skills, kept the dinner conversation afloat, but it felt more like an interview than a date. When she invited him in afterward, he politely declined. He ended the night alone again. Girls 5 through 7 were more enjoyable. They were charming, easy to talk to, and gave Bob moments of hope. They went on multiple dates, movies, walks, coffee, but something was always missing. No spark, no gravity. He started to wonder if he'd ever feel what he had with Isabella again. Then came girl number 8, Sophia and Rawson, 28, marketing grad from the University of Illinois. She worked in advertising and had a heart-shaped face framed by shoulder-length ash blonde hair. Her brother worked with James and recommended her. Reluctantly, she agreed to a date after ignoring Bob's first call. They met at a cozy downtown cafe. At first, the conversation was stiff. Both seemed guarded, cautious. But slowly, something shifted. They laughed over shared stories and small talk turned into something genuine. Bob was so wrapped up in it, he lost track of time and realized he was late getting back to the office. He paid the bill, flagged a cab for Sophia, and left with a strange, buzzing feeling in his chest. He planned to wait a few days before calling again. That plan didn't last. By late afternoon, he asked her to dinner the next night. They went to a sleek steakhouse downtown, originally intending to catch a movie afterward. But the conversation flowed too easily, and time slipped away. They lingered over dessert, chatting and laughing until the waiter politely asked if they could wrap it up. Instead of parting ways, they wandered to a nearby bar. More drinks, more laughter, more stories. They covered everything: fashion, sports, travel dreams, family quirks. They teased each other over favorite foods and disagreed over music. The chemistry was there. And for the first time in a long while, Bob felt truly present. One night, over drinks, the topic turned oddly specific: celebrities. Bob brought up Lindsay Lohan, and Sophia immediately cringed. God, Lindsay Lohan. I can't stand her, she said, eyes narrowing. Bob blinked. Okay, that's a strong reaction. Why do you hate her so much? Sophia sighed. It's not really her. It's that Disney movie she was in. A movie? You hate her because of a movie? Well, sort of. Yeah, she admitted, rubbing her temples. Bob laughed. You've got to explain that one. Sophia leaned forward, resting her cheek on her hand. You're going to make me relive it, aren't you? He grinned. Absolutely. She rolled her eyes. Fine. The movie was the remake of The Parent Trap. The original had Haley Mills. You know the story? Twin girls trying to reunite their divorced parents. Bob nodded. Exactly. And they torment the poor woman their dad is about to marry, Sophia said, frowning. Bob raised an eyebrow. That's the part you're mad about? Yes, she said, clearly passionate. Everyone roots for the kids, but I always felt for the woman. She was painted like this evil gold digger, but all she wanted was to marry someone she loved. Wow, Bob said. You really relate to her? Sophia's expression softened. I thought you knew. I figured James or my brother told you. Told me what? Bob asked, genuinely confused. About Trevor, Sophia said quietly. The guy I was serious with before. Bob nodded. You mentioned him once. Older guy, divorced, right? Yeah. He was in his late 40s. Architect. Had a daughter, Olivia, 14. She hated me. Wanted her parents back together. And she pulled every dirty trick in the book to push me out of Trevor's life. She took a sip of her drink, eyes distant. She pulled a full-on parent trap. Bob leaned in. Now you have to tell me the pranks. Sophia chuckled. Get ready. She sat up straighter. First one was at a company dinner. Olivia handed me my perfume as we were leaving, but she dumped something disgusting in it. I didn't realize until Trevor hugged me and nearly gagged. I spent half the night scrubbing in the restroom and still smelled awful. Bob winced. Yikes. She also washed my underwear in the same stuff. Slipped garlic capsules into my vitamins. Spiked my wine spritzer with tonic. And Trevor? He just didn't react. Didn't say anything. Bob tried not to laugh. That's pretty evil. She wasn't done, Sophia continued, half smiling. She smeared fly pheromones on me before a picnic. Within minutes, I was swarmed. Bob gasped. That's almost cartoon villain stuff. I begged Trevor to talk to her. He refused. Said she'd come around. Sophia paused. She didn't. Bob looked at her with genuine sympathy. That sounds exhausting. It was. I stopped trusting her. I felt watched, sabotaged. It broke me. I started second-guessing everything. She stirred her drink, the ice clinking quietly. The final straw was at a formal dinner with his parents and clients. Olivia slipped something into my wine, maybe Ativan. By dessert, I was slurring my words and passed out in my plate, Sophia said, her voice steady but bitter. She even made it look like I peed myself. Bob stared, stunned. You're kidding. Nope, she said. Trevor and one of his friends had to carry me to a bedroom. I was mortified. And when I told him Olivia did it, he got upset with me. Bob shook his head. He blamed you. He said I was overreacting. That I embarrassed him. We fought. And when he didn't stand up for me, I realized we were done. She chuckled. Straight out of Disney, huh? More like Twisted Disney, Bob replied. Sophia studied him with a half-smile. That's my tragic little tale. Your turn. Bob leaned back. Mine's more of a runaway bride reboot. She ghosted you at the altar? No. She told me she was leaving me, for her ex, at the altar. Sophia winced. Yikes. I was in my tux, ready to walk down the aisle. She walked into the groom's room, handed me the ring, and said she couldn't do it. Then she ran out. Said she still loved the guy before me. Oh my God. My dad almost started a riot in the church. Called her a witch. Yelled at the guests. It was chaos, Bob said, smiling grimly. And you? She asked softly. I walked out like a zombie. Totally wrecked. This right now? This is the first time I've ever laughed about it. Sophia touched his arm. Time helps. It does. But mostly it's you, Bob said, meeting her eyes. They left the bar hand in hand. Bob opened the car door for her and hesitated. I had a really good time tonight. Maybe you'd want to come back to my place? It's nearby. Sophia looked out the window. Bob's face fell. Sorry. That was too much. I didn't mean to. She turned to him. Yes. I'd like that. 15 minutes later, Bob unlocked his apartment, trying to sound nonchalant. Here it is, he said, instantly regretting how lame that sounded. He helped her with her coat. Couch is there, kitchen's open. Bathroom's down the hall. Make yourself at home. Sophia looked around the place, then back at Bob with a strange intensity. Bob, she said softly, just take me to the bedroom. Bob swallowed. Okay. Later that night, Bob woke up to find Sophia still awake beside him, smiling in the dim light. Hey, she whispered. Hey yourself. Couldn't sleep? I was thinking. About. She hesitated. Not sure I should say. A girl shouldn't reveal her plans too early. Bob grinned. Plans? I'm going to make you mine, she said plainly. Bob blinked, stunned. Sophia watched his expression expectantly. You've made a good start, he said quietly, eyes locked on hers. Their romance took off. In a few short months, it turned into something sensational, full of energy, chemistry, and excitement. They got engaged. The planning was seamless. No fights, no drama. Everything felt perfect, until Sophia casually mentioned that Trevor wanted to attend the wedding and some of the pre-wedding events. Bob felt his stomach twist. Why would he want to be there? He says he's happy for me. Wants to be supportive, Sophia replied, brushing it off. Bob tried to play it cool, but when Trevor actually showed up, it was clear he wasn't just being supportive. He hovered around Sophia, constantly pulled her aside, touched her shoulder, laughed too loudly at her jokes. Worst of all, Sophia never seemed to push back. If anything, she seemed flattered. Bob's old fears crept in. At the rehearsal dinner, he sat stiffly at the head table, picking at his food while everyone else enjoyed the evening. Trevor was effortlessly charming. The guests loved him. Sophia? She couldn't stop looking at him. Bob felt like a ghost in his own life. He rubbed his temples, muttering under his breath. Sophia noticed. You okay? You look upset. Bob leaned in and hissed quietly, damn it, Sophia. If you're going to gut me again, just use a knife this time. Her eyes widened. What? Bob, what are you talking about? He gave her a hard look. Come on, Sophia. I've seen this play before. You invited your ex to our rehearsal dinner. You keep having little private chats with him, and you've barely looked at me all night. I know how this ends. Maybe we should just switch roles and let me be the one who runs. Sophia shook her head quickly, leaning closer. No, Bob. I didn't invite him. He showed up on his own. He told me last minute. I didn't tell you because I knew it would upset you. Upset me? Bob snapped. You don't say. I mean, it's not like you're entertaining a guy you used to sleep with the night before our wedding. Bob, stop. This isn't what you think. Oh, really? Then what is it? Sophia inhaled slowly. Just wait a second, will you? Please. Just give it a minute. Bob was about to respond when a voice rang out from across the room. You, what's on your teeth? Is that juice? Everyone turned. A woman standing near Trevor was staring at him with confusion. Sophia smiled. Or maybe you won't have to wait at all, she said. Bob turned toward the noise. Trevor stood frozen, confused, with a dark purplish smear across his teeth and lips, something dripping from his chin. His eyes darted around, trying to figure out what was happening. He touched his mouth and frowned. What the hell is that? Bob asked, incredulous. Sophia just kept smiling. What did you do? Bob whispered, staring at the chaos across the room. Sophia didn't flinch. We're not done yet, she said casually, eyes fixed on Trevor. Bob watched as Trevor frantically tried to dab away the blue dye on his face with a wet napkin, only making it worse. His lips and teeth were smeared in deep navy, and his frustration escalated when he realized he couldn't stand up. His pants were stuck to the chair. A few more tugs, and Trevor began sawing at the fabric with a pocket knife. The guests' polite murmurs turned into snickers, then outright laughter. With a loud rip, he finally stood up, pants torn, shirt untucked, and bolted toward the restroom, looking like a disheveled children's magician who'd bombed a corporate event. Bob blinked. That's cruel. And also incredibly funny. Yes, Sophia said, sipping her wine with a smug smile. Especially that last part. I didn't see it coming. Bob leaned in. Wait, what do you mean you didn't see it coming? You didn't plan that. Oh, I did. But not alone. I had a partner in crime, Sophia replied, tilting her head. Who? Bob asked, confused. Sophia subtly nodded toward the far end of the table. Bob turned and saw his father, Noah Foster, grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. He lifted his glass in a silent toast. Bob laughed, stunned. My God. What have I gotten myself into? Sophia hooked her arm through his. What did you get yourself into? Bob smiled. Heaven, I think. I hope. Miles away, under a cracked elm tree, Isabella parked her truck in the shade, wiped sweat from her brow, and cursed the busted AC. The engine wheezed as it shut off. She stepped onto the browning lawn of her duplex, passing a broken sprinkler and some scattered kids' toys that weren't theirs. Inside, the living room was stale and cluttered. A fan whirred weakly in front of Emma, who was asleep on the recliner with his mouth open. The TV played a video game intro screen. Country music echoed from a dusty radio. She slammed the door. Emma stirred. Hey, babe, what time is it? 4:30, Isabella said, hands on her hips. She glanced around. Pizza box on the table, cereal bowl on the floor, socks everywhere. Did you interview anywhere today? Emma yawned and stretched. How was I supposed to? You had the truck. You could have gone online. Filled out forms. Made calls. It's been 7 months, Emma. We're out of money. Have you done anything? He rubbed his face. Yeah, I looked. All junk. Minimum wage garbage. Then take something for now, she snapped. Maybe a crap job won't liquefy you. Maybe you being a nagging which won't liquefy me either, he fired back without thinking. Isabella recoiled like he slapped her. She blinked fast, lips tight. Emma sighed and stood up, pulling her into a hug. I'm sorry. That was awful. I didn't mean it. She stood stiff in his arms. I just don't want to settle, he said. There's a new dealership opening on the west side. I've got my eye on a spot. Just give me time, okay? Isabella exhaled. Fine. I'm just tired, Emma. My accounting job barely covers rent. We need more. I know, Isa. I'll fix it. I promise. They shared a tense, half-hearted smile. She walked to a small corner desk and booted up the old computer. As it whirred to life, she sorted bills. Then, on a whim, she opened the browser history. One job site. The rest? Sports, YouTube, fantasy football forums. She glanced back. Emma was chewing on day-old pizza, absorbed in his game. Want some? He asked, mouth full. She shook her head. No, I'm going out with the girls tonight. Remember? Oh yeah? Don't spend too much, he mumbled. I won't, Isabella said, forcing a smile. He grinned back, oblivious. She watched him for a beat longer, his unshaven jaw, his messy hair, and something in her eyes shifted. She reached for a wooden box on the shelf, opened it slowly, and pulled out an opal pendant. Her fingers traced it, a bittersweet look on her face. Then she paused. Her expression hardened. Emma swore at the TV, banging the controller on his thigh. Isabella turned back to the box and lifted the felt lining. Beneath it sat a gold engagement ring, thin band, elegant diamond. She held it up, admiring the sparkle, then tucked it away and clicked open a folder on the computer. It was titled, Memories. Inside, photos of Bob. Bob with executives. Bob in a tux. Bob on a beach in Hawaii. Bob with a beautiful woman and 2 children in front of a flawless suburban home. The phone rang. Isabella jumped and picked it up. Hello. Hey, birthday girl. Ready for your big night? It was Betsy Russell, cheery, loud as always. Yeah, I don't know. Money's tight, Isabella started. Nope. No excuses. This one's on us. The whole crew's coming, except Olivia. Isabella blinked. Why not Olivia? Second job. Tim's back in rehab again. Oh, Isabella said quietly. I didn't know. Yeah, it sucks. But you still have a birthday to celebrate. Don't be late, or we'll miss the movie. The movie? Isabella asked. Romantic comedy. Jennifer Lawrence. Starts at 7. So get here early, so we can eat. Isabella hesitated. Is that the only option? There's a Tarantino Western, Betsy said with a scoff. But unless you've grown a mustache and bought cowboy boots. Isabella snorted. Maybe I have. Betsy laughed. You? Since when do you like Westerns? Isabella looked back at Emma, now yelling at his headset, surrounded by trash and pizza crusts, then back at the screen filled with Bob's life. Her voice softened. It's not that I like Westerns, she said quietly. It's just, I really, really hate romantic comedies.